The temple was empty except for him. Midnight in ancient Athens. A single oil lamp flickering against cold marble. A man kneeling before a statue twice his height, hands trembling as he places an offering at its feet, a loaf of bread, a cup of wine, a lock of his own hair. He does not look up. He has heard what happens to those who look a god directly in the eye without permission. He has heard the stories. Everyone has heard the stories. And every single one of them ends the same way, with someone begging for mercy that never comes. This is not a story about heroes. This is not a story about myths for children, softened into cartoons and picture books. This is not a story about gods you're supposed to admire. This is a story about the 12 most powerful beings the ancient Greek world ever feared, ranked not by how much they were loved, but by how much they were dreaded. And by the end, you'll understand why one name on this list made even the other gods go silent when it was spoken. We'll get to that name. But first, we start at the bottom of the list, with the gods who seem gentle, harmless, even boring, until you hear what they actually did. Number 12. Hestia, goddess of the hearth. She sounds harmless. She sat quietly at home while her siblings fought wars and seduced mortals. But here's what the myths don't tell you enough. Hestia gave up her throne on Olympus voluntarily, to prevent a war between Poseidon and Apollo over her hand in marriage. She chose to disappear rather than let jealousy destroy the order of the gods. Even her gentleness was a kind of terrifying self-control that no mortal could match. Number 11. Hephaestus, the god of fire and forge. Thrown off Mount Olympus as a baby by his own mother, Hera, simply because he was born deformed. He fell for an entire day before crashing into the sea. And when he grew powerful enough to take revenge, he didn't scream, he didn't rage, he built. He crafted a golden throne, sent it to Olympus as a gift, and welcomed his mother to sit in it. The moment she did, invisible chains locked around her body, and no god could free her. Hephaestus made his mother a prisoner using nothing but patience and metal. That's not weakness. That's a kind of quiet horror that takes years to plan. Number 10. Apollo, god of light, music, prophecy. The golden boy of Olympus. Beautiful. Talented. And absolutely merciless when challenged. A satyr named Marsyas made the mistake of claiming his music was better than Apollo's. Apollo accepted the challenge, winner decides the punishment. Apollo won. And then he tied Marsyas to a tree and flayed the skin from his body while he was still alive, letting his screams echo through the forest as a warning to anyone else who dared compare themselves to a god. Number 9. Demeter, goddess of the harvest. She sounds soft. Grain, fertility, the gentle changing of seasons. But when Hades kidnapped her daughter Persephone and dragged her into the underworld, Demeter didn't cry quietly. She let the entire world starve. Every crop died. Every field turned to dust. Humanity began to disappear, city by city, because one goddess's grief was powerful enough to end all life on earth, and she let it happen, without hesitation, until she got her daughter back. If these four gods were capable of this much cruelty, you haven't seen anything yet. 6 more names are still coming, and they get significantly worse. If you think we've reached the scary part of this list, we haven't even come close. Because the next 4 gods on this ranking didn't just punish individual mortals who crossed them. They destroyed cities, drowned civilizations, and turned entire families against each other for sport. Stay with me. It only gets darker from here. Number 8. Athena, goddess of wisdom and war strategy. Wisdom sounds safe. It isn't. Athena turned a mortal woman named Medusa into a monster with snakes for hair, not because Medusa sinned, but because Poseidon assaulted her inside Athena's own temple, and Athena punished the victim rather than the god. Wisdom, in the ancient Greek world, didn't mean fairness. It meant knowing exactly how to make suffering permanent. Number 7. Poseidon, god of the sea, earthquakes, and storms. He didn't just command the ocean. He was the ocean's rage given a body. When the people of Ethiopia's queen boasted that her daughter was more beautiful than his sea nymphs, Poseidon didn't argue. He sent a sea monster to devour the coastline, city by city, until a princess was chained to a rock as a sacrifice to make it stop. One insult, and an entire kingdom paid for it in flesh. Number 6. Ars, god of war. Even the other gods hated him. Not because he was strong. Because he loved violence for its own sake, with no cause, no strategy, no honor. He fed on chaos. Homer himself describes Zeus telling Ars to his face that he is the most hateful god on Olympus. When the god of war himself is too savage for the king of the gods to stomach, you understand exactly what kind of monster he was. Number 5. Hera, queen of the gods. Forget the jealous wife stereotype. Hera's cruelty was surgical. When Zeus fathered Hercules with a mortal woman, Hera didn't wait for him to grow up to punish him. She sent 2 serpents into his crib to strangle him in his sleep while he was still an infant. When that failed, she cursed him with a fit of madness as an adult that made him murder his own wife and children with his bare hands, believing they were enemies. That single curse is the reason Hercules had to complete his 12 labors. His entire legendary story exists because a goddess wanted a baby dead. We are down to the final 4. And the next one committed a crime so horrifying, a king's own mother tore him apart with her hands, and didn't even realize what she'd done until it was over. Number 4. Dionysus, god of wine, ecstasy, and madness. He looks harmless, a god of parties, wine, celebration. But cross him, and he doesn't punish you. He unravels your mind. King Pentheus of Thebes refused to worship Dionysus, mocked his followers, and tried to imprison him. So Dionysus filled the king's own mother and aunts with a divine frenzy so total, they mistook Pentheus for a wild animal in the forest. They didn't just kill him. They tore him apart with their bare hands, limb from limb, while completely possessed, and his own mother carried his severed head back into the city, believing it was a lion's, before the madness lifted and she understood what she had done. Dionysus didn't lift a finger. He just removed the one thing keeping his followers human. Number 3. Hades, god of the underworld. Not cruel in the way the others are cruel. Worse. Hades is absolute. He doesn't rage, he doesn't scheme, he doesn't need revenge, because every single soul that has ever lived eventually belongs to him, no exceptions, no escape, no negotiation. When Orpheus descended into the underworld and begged, through the most beautiful music ever played, for his wife's soul back, Hades actually said yes, on one condition. And when that one condition was broken, by a single moment of doubt, Hades didn't need to punish anyone. The rules simply closed shut on their own, forever. That's what makes him terrifying. He doesn't have to be angry. He just has to wait. Number 2. Zeus, king of the gods. The most powerful being in the Greek universe got there by chaining his own father, Cronus, in the depths of Tartarus after castrating him, the same fate Cronus had given his own father before him. And Zeus's cruelty didn't stop with his father. He transformed himself into animals, clouds, even other people's husbands, to deceive and assault mortal women across the world, Europa, Leda, Io, Alcmene, leaving behind children whose lives he rarely protected, and wives whose rage he never had to face, because no one on Earth or Olympus had the power to hold him accountable. Zeus wasn't feared because he was evil. He was feared because there was absolutely nothing stopping him. And now, the name we promised at the beginning. Number 1 is not a god most people can even picture. She has no famous temple, no dramatic myth retold in movies. Her name is Nemesis, the goddess of divine retribution. When a mortal became too arrogant, too proud, too certain that no consequence could ever reach them, hubris, the Greeks called it, Nemesis was the force that arrived, silent and absolute, to restore the balance. She didn't answer to Zeus. She didn't negotiate with Hades. Even the gods who ruled every corner of the universe knew that if they went too far, if their pride grew too large, Nemesis would come for them too. In a world ruled by beings who could do anything they wanted to anyone weaker than them, Nemesis was the one reminder that no one, not even a god, stands above judgment forever. Here's what 3,000 years of these stories actually teach us. The ancient Greeks didn't worship these gods because they loved them. They worshipped them because they were terrified of what would happen if they didn't. Absolute power, in every single one of these stories, came paired with absolute cruelty. Not one exception. Not one god who held power and used it gently. And maybe that's the real lesson buried underneath 3,000 years of myth, that no matter how much power someone holds, whether they're a god on Olympus or someone in your own life, unchecked power always finds a way to punish the people who can't fight back. Which god on this list terrifies you the most? Tell me in the comments, and if you made it this far, you already know which one it's going to be.